Week 1, Rhetoric Level. There's an old saying, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. If you look at the end of the first Tapestry of Grace week plan, you'll find a green supplement section. It asks and answers the question, why study history? Christians believe, in a way that other people do not, that history matters. You see, to the atheist, history is just a series of accidents and coincidences that somehow got us this far. To the Buddhist or Hindu, history is an illusion to be transcended. Jews and Muslims believe in a God who rules over history, but only Christians believe that God entered into it himself in the form of Jesus of Nazareth. We believe that history really is his story. We call this curriculum Tapestry of Grace because it reminds us that God is weaving his purposes through all of space and time. One thread in the tapestry we're studying will be the thread of slavery. Americans sometimes forget that there's more to the history of slavery than the racial slavery of the American South. Slavery didn't begin at Jamestown and end with the Emancipation Proclamation. The Bible doesn't condemn slavery as an economic institution, but it always comes across as a powerful symbol in Scripture. The Old Testament is full of references to slavery, especially when Israel reaped the consequences of idolatry or apostasy. The New Testament uses the image of slavery over and over. Romans 6:20 tells us we were slaves to sin. Romans 6:22 says we are God's slaves now. In Mark 10:44, Jesus says, whoever would be first among you must be slave of all. And yet Galatians 5:1 says, for freedom Christ has set us free. Stand firm, therefore, and do not submit again to a yoke of slavery. You get to discuss the big ideas with your older teens in Tapestry. Freedom is such a big idea that you can start discussing it this week and still be working on it 4 years from now when you wrap up your study of the history of the world. History isn't the only thing we study, though. If your family is following Tapestry's literature track, your teens should be reading some actual Egyptian poems. Some of these are surprisingly good. One of my favorites is on page 25 of the ancient Egyptian literature text. I think I'll go home and lie very still, feigning terminal illness. Then the neighbors will all troop over to stare, my love perhaps among them. Hal shall smile while the specialists snarl in their teeth. She knows perfectly well what ails me. This little poem has become a favorite around our house. When things get rough, my wife will look over at me and say, I think I'll go home and lie very still. Ask your kids to read it for you. Ask them if they've ever felt like that.